That translates to, hello and welcome to my channel. He was here, so why not? My name's David, this is David K Reacts, this is Timmy, he's reacting to. And here on this channel, I ramble with articulation, I hope, about a variety of musical, video, and audio elements that I pick up on in videos that I choose to watch. And today, we are going to be reacting to Pisces by Jinjer. This, I believe, is sort of the standard intro for Jinjer. I went for Perennial instead. I can't remember why. Oh, because I think this looked like it was going to be a bit more of a live studio thing, and Perennial a bit more of a video, and so I thought I'd have more to comment on in Perennial. But having done things like Small Town Titans, where they're kind of doing the live studio thing, I figured this is within my wheelhouse, so why not? So yeah, this has been requested, of course. I'm not surprised about that, given the popularity of the Perennial video, specifically by, I'm sorry, I still don't know the pronunciation, Ikaya? I apologise. Megan Underwood and Marcus Wokner, yeah, I'm amongst other people, but this is one I was looking forward to immediately after Perennial, more or less. I'm surprised it took me so long to get to it, but I'm really looking forward to see what Tati and the guys have for us in this one, because Perennial was phenomenal, and everybody seems to react to Pisces and love it. Obviously, I know Tati screams and growls, so that surprise happened in Perennial and was almost a little bit less of a surprise for me because I've seen a bunch of female-fronted metal bands before. She is exceptionally good at it, I will say. But if you want to see my first reaction to her doing that, check out my Perennial video. I will put a link up here in a card. But yes, this I'm very, very much looking forward to. We'll see what the guys do with this. I don't know the song, of course. This is my first time hearing it, but I am very excited to do so. So I will say welcome back to my channel. Welcome if this is your first time here. If it is, the way this works, I watch the video through from beginning to end. I will emote and comment over the top of it, but I won't stop it. Then I will go back, watch it a second time, and this time I will pause, interrupt, and offer what commentary and analysis I feel I can, based upon what I've seen and heard, and the foreknowledge of having seen the video once before. Please do like the video, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and if you would care to support the channel, you can do so in 3 ways: through buymeacoffee.com/DavidKReacts with a one-off donation, with patreon.com/DavidKReacts, where you can sign up for $2 Canadian, and that also gives you access to my Discord channel, or by leaving a super thanks here on YouTube. No pressure to do any of the above, but it would be very gratefully received if you choose to do so. Quick cut in here because I literally had something pulled up in front of me and I closed the window by accident and subsequently forgot to mention it, which is I would like to thank the 2 new members of my Patreon community, which is Ellen and Denali Cat. Thank you very much indeed for joining. I really appreciate you joining my humble community and helping me to grow and to continue doing this. It's very, very much appreciated. So thank you to both of you. Back to the video. Okay, that was random. My internet decided that split second to cut out. I haven't heard any of it yet. I just had to go and reboot my router. Here we go again. Ooh. This is pretty. Oh, I like this groove. 7 beats in a bar. That's cool. It's so melodic. Her singing is beautiful. I like this sudden drop back in intensity for a second. Yes! Oh! She sounds so good! I love how much expression she's putting in while she's screaming. Oh, that's amazing. She's phenomenal.
No promises I ever give. Don't rely on me and I won't deceive. The beginning or the end you can't tell. When I wave my feet and shake my tail, I grew a different normality with unblameable morality.
I like the time switching that's going on. Now we're in a quick 3/4. There's some really interesting structure in this song. Yes! What a sound! It's just so good. Timmy has no idea what's happening. There's so much breadth in the sound she's producing. Oh, there's some really cool chords that we're moving through. She got goldfish in her earrings. Or spaces, I should say. Oh, I like that riff.
Cherish his life to the underworld.
I like the Star Wars poster in the backdrop.
Make me flash and when the winter cries. Voices swimming through the river, hold the life against the stream.
Oh, I love the quick switch. Woo! Wow.
Don't suffocate in painful tortures, long-cutting tables of callous men, wandering on of phantom butchers. Emeralds are whipped away. Emeralds are whipped away. Emeralds are whipped away. Emeralds are whipped away.
Oh, wow. Woo! Oh, that's good. And what I love the change in the scream tone she used right at the end there. Went so much higher register. That's extraordinary. Wow. I can see why everybody suggests this as a starting point. That is fantastic. I just want to see if there's any information about it down below. So they're obviously updating their stuff because they've called Me a Symbol as a new album coming out May 17th this year. That's awesome. So this came out March 17th, 2017. So I'm recording this just over 7 years after this was released. 83.5 million views. That's phenomenal. I am not surprised, though. This is so good. I believe we had this idea to record a new version of Pisces when we first rehearsed the song with Vlad Ulasovic as a new drummer. So this, I assume, is Vlad. His drumming makes the song sound really different. So we finally had some free time last winter. We went to Istok Studio in Kiev, did a live recording and shooting, then added over some extra lines, like a few backing vocals and guitars. Then Max from Morton Studio made this new magnificent version of mixing, and here we are, Pisces video. I hope you all enjoy it. That's interesting. So they changed drummer, and this is a thing, right? You change any member of a band, the tone of a song is going to change a little bit. Look at Ghost Love Score, which I covered a little while back. If you haven't seen that video of mine, please do check it out. If you haven't seen Ghost Love Score, go check out Floor Jansen singing Ghost Love Score live at Wacken. Oh, wow. Here, there, is going to be a link to my reaction to it. But the version she sings versus the version that Tarja Turunen sang is completely different. Change a drummer, that's the entire life, the heartbeat of a song shifted. Because the drums are so pivotal to, especially in metal, where you get these really, really heavy drum sounds. They're so present all the time. Yes, Bonnie, I know. He says, I don't know what this headbanging malarkey was that was going on. It was very disturbing. It's remarkable what a difference it can make, and I love the fact that they kind of embrace that so much to the point where they've re-recorded, and from what it says, it sounds like improved on the quality of the sound recording that they had previously in the mixing, but also they've got this new style of sound with the drums. I would be interested to hear what they had prior to this. I don't know if that is something that is possible, just to have as a momentary distraction. Give me 2 seconds. I will cut back in a second with an answer to that. Okay, quick hunt, but it would seem that on a quick search, at least on YouTube, the only Pisces videos I'm finding are from after this. If there is one that covers the old drummer, I would be curious. I probably won't add it to a reaction, but for my own sake, I would be interested to hear what it sounded like prior. Anyway, let's go back to the beginning of this. Whoops. If you haven't been on my channel before, incidentally, I black this out whenever I accidentally open to not a full screen YouTube video, because I'm behind NDAs for work and I have a tendency to leave tabs open. So just for safety. Anyway, let's go back to the beginning and see what we can tease out of this, because wow, that was good. This is such a beautiful intro. D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D D. We're stuck around this minor triad of whatever key that we're in, and then we get this ba 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 ba. We've got the that would be the ninth up there, just as a sailing note. So what the ninth, for anyone who's not familiar, of a key, you have 8 keys in a scale. The tonic, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then the tonic up an octave, which is 8. Therefore, 9 is the second up an octave. So if we're in C minor here, then the ninth is the D above the root note. And so we've got that just sailing in as this little extra note, and it just gives this fascinating extra texture, especially because it is so far removed from the arpeggiated triad that he's playing here, where it's all a little bit lower, and then this ping! It's a really, really, really bright note comes out over the top, and what a change that is to the sound. It's so simple. He's just playing over the same notes, but because I don't know what is this 7 actually? I'm going to go back one more time. I can't get the timing. Yeah, we're in 7, and that ping happens on the 4th beat. When they start singing, they're breaking the 7 up into, because you can break, if you've got a 7-beat bar, you can break it up in a multitude of different ways. You could have a 3-2-2, or a 3-4, which is the vibe I feel like I'm getting here. You could have a 4-3, a 2-2-3. There's different ways of cutting it up. I feel like this feels to me like a 3-4. So there's a little bit of a weight given on the way in a 4-4. 4/4 rhythm, you might have a little bit of extra weight on the 3rd beat, so it's not as strong as the downbeat. Sort of a dum 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 dum. It's just got a little bit of an extra push. They're putting it on beat 4 of 7, so you get bum 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 bum, and it's just a little bit of an extra kick, and that's where that 9th is falling in this guitar part. That's actually really effective, because it takes the way that he's playing it. It's actually tricky if you don't know it's in 7. It's tricky to clock the fact that that's exactly what's going on here, because it sounds a little bit random. Because 7 is unusual. The ear doesn't expect to hear 7. We expect to hear things in neat packages of 3 or 4. Having a 3 and a 4 before we restart is unusual. And so it catches the ear a little bit off guard, and it sounds a little bit random, but they are actually evenly spaced. Very, very cool. I also like what they've done with the tone of this room, actually. If we just let it warm up fully. So we have these bright white open lights that we've got. There's the one behind Tati's left shoulder, the one just over, oh my goodness, my brain, Roman here. It's bright white, but the tone of the room isn't. There's a yellow wash over all of this, and it gives it both a warmth and a kind of... It's almost got a slightly vintage feel about it, but it feels really nice. And especially now, where we're starting with this gentle, slightly melancholy-sounding guitar. There's not much motion going on. Tati's looking down at the floor. Vladi just sitting there with his hands down. He's not ready to do something, even though he is going to play in a second. And we're not even seeing Eugene right now. And it's just very still. And I like the fact that they've gone for this aesthetic for the room. It's really effective, I think. And all the fairy lights on the bookcase behind the sort of below the this black, is that can't tell if that's the studio window blacked out or if it's just a bit of sound buffering. But anyway, doesn't matter. And you can hear already, the reason I'm taking them as being a split of 3 and 4 is actually the bass. You can hear the bass line here when he comes in. Boom, boom. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1. That's what's giving me that cue to say that it's there. Because here it could, based on the vocals and the guitar, yes, we've got that ping on the 4, but that could be an upbeat almost into the second half of the bar. But the bass, because that chord is changing on the 4, that's the reason I'm taking that lead. I really, really like there as well. We still got this 9th going, and now Tati's going up to the what is effectively the 11th because of where she's pitching this. Just da 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 da. Got that nice blend there of those two notes when they cross. It's an effective combination there. Also, yes, she does indeed have a goldfish image in her spacers, and that's so freaking cool. I like the tone of voice that she's using at this point. It's a little aspirate. There's a little bit of air, but only a little bit. She's got quite a good tone. I mean, obviously, sorry, good is the wrong word. It's relatively clear, but there is still a little bit of something. And I also it's interesting seeing the choice in videos like these where they choose to keep the full breath in. And there is a big... There, you hear the breath, and that's something you don't have to. It's a choice whether you want to keep that in, and I think it kind of adds a little something to this in a way. Right there. I think this is so good. It's very, very hi-hat heavy drum groove that we've got here going here with just the occasional snare pop and a little bit of bass drum supporting it. There's not a lot happening. It's got so much, the whole song has so much room to grow, and it's about to. But it's starting off, it's kind of almost got an alt rock vibe going on at this point. And I think it sets up the tone really nicely. I think this is a beautiful way to start this song. You get this very soulful singing from Tati. You've got this slightly slower, slightly more laid back, less intense accompaniment going on to her singing. And it just means that when it comes in with that punch, when we hit the chorus, it has had that time to build the tension. And it's so interesting because this is not particularly tense music, but if you don't know Jinjer, the feeling is probably completely different, and maybe that's why people wanted me to start with this. But if you do know Jinjer, you know something is coming, and the irony that soft, gentle music can be tense while we're building up to Tati letting rip and the drums and the guitars going full metal on us. That is palpable. I really like the way they've built this.
suffering with smile. I drew a different reality.
I like how much she's putting into her hands. She's singing a lot with her hands at this point, gesturing. It's nice. It gives us a little bit of something to focus. Studio videos, you need stuff to actually kind of be enthralled by in the video. If everyone's just standing at a microphone doing their thing, that can work under specific circumstances. But for a song like this, I feel like it wants something a little bit more, and I love that that's what we're getting. And it's drawing because Roman's playing is quite small. There's not a lot happening. Yes, we've got the drums kind of faded out in the foreground of that previous shot, but it's not... Well, they're mostly in focus, actually. But they're not drawing attention. And I think part of that is that Tati's wearing a white top, which is a great move because it is the one piece of clothing in this shot that is not black. And yes, we have these fairy lights, and yes, there are footlights around the rug and things like that. But the brightest two lights in this shot are the two I mentioned before, the one above Roman's head and the one just to the right-hand side of the screen over Tati's left shoulder. And they are bracketing her in the white top, which means the eye naturally gets drawn to the brightest thing on the screen, which is her. Really, really smart move there.
Suffering with smile, I drew a different reality with unconditional loyalty. Ego hardly can be picked 'cause I'm...
Interesting, too, that they're only ever zooming in on her face. We get a close-up of Roman playing the guitar. I don't think we've... Oh, no, we have very briefly. We've barely seen Eugene in this so far, even though he's working away in the background here. I don't think we've seen Vladdy's face, have we? I'm trying to think now. Can't remember. But the only face we're really giving attention to is Tati's. We're focusing on the lyrics. We're focusing on the words. It's not... It's good. I think it gives us a focal point for the video. And... You know, a studio is a cluttered space, and so having one focal point is nice. I like that.
Ego hardly can be picked 'cause I'm selfless.
This is nice too. We get this drop back in tone. All of a sudden, we're still... The guitars haven't gone distorted yet. They're still playing this quite kind of ethereal tone. Now we've got to this, the side stick being hit on the snare here. So we've got this sort of gentle crack sound instead of the slap of the snare, along with the still working... We haven't gone crazy on cymbals either. It's not like we're smashing the crash to high heaven at this point in time. It's still mostly based on the hat. Everything is still quite reserved. And just before everybody goes crazy, we start introducing the band. We get a bit more of a front-on picture of Roman. We see Vladdy full-on from behind Roman's guitar neck, which is a really... We're seeing so much from behind the drum kit, and then we get that shot here, where we see Vladdy from behind the guitar neck. That's a really nice touch. I like that we're seeing things from perspectives, where it's not just a random camera in the room. We're getting a little bit of perspective. I know she's she's scrunching up her face as she's screaming and things like that. But is it just me, or does it look like she's putting no effort at... I mean, obviously she's putting effort in, but she makes it look so easy. She makes it look like I should be able to look at this microphone right now and scream like that, which I can tell you I can't. I have tried. I'm sure I could probably learn, but it doesn't come out naturally. I'm not even going to try. But it looks like it should be so easy because of how she performs this. That's actually really impressive.
1 billion wings life with all the for death.
What time signature are we in?
1 billion wings life with all the for death.
Sorry, I hit that because I was tapping things out with my thumb. Was that 20 beats? What? That was 20 beats. What a weird length for a phrase. I love it. I'm not sure quite how it's broken up. I'm sorry. I'm going to go back on this. I may cut some of this out depending on how long it takes me to figure this out. I am now fascinated. That feels to me, the way that they're playing it feels like 3-5-3-5-4, which doesn't quite make sense. But it's what it feels like. I love that they're playing with rhythm so much in this. It makes it such a fascinating song. It doesn't sit comfortably in a 4-4. It could be written in a 4-4. It would actually make sense. 4-4-4-4-4 rather than 3-5-3-5-4. And the first beat of what I'm calling a 5 is the upbeat back into the next one. But there's a definite tonal difference between that down 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 and that down 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 down. That feels like a 3 and a 5 to me. I'm not necessarily the best at guessing how something is written. I write things, musically speaking, the way that I hear them, and that is not necessarily the correct way to write them, but that's what I'm getting from this. And I think that's fascinating, because it gives the ear something interesting. 20 is slightly unusual as a length. 16 would feel more natural, but it does even out to 4. And so by the time you come back in again, you've got this weird blend of, we're in a multiple of 4, so my brain is happy with that, but how on earth did we get there? And that's really cool. I love how much she's still performing as she's screaming. Like, we've got, the stretched out hands, things like that. She's focusing on the microphone, but she's still giving it with the rest of her body. It's so engaging to watch, and it keeps these wide shots. There is always something to focus on. It's also fascinating the register that she's singing at now, because when she was singing with the band in the non-distorted tone, her register was much higher. Now that she's screaming, it's a much darker sound, and it's not until the very last phrase of the song, pretty much, that the two of those things blend, and we get the screaming sound with the register of the initial, more or less at least, of the initial singing. And I think that's really cool too, because she's melding herself to match the sound of the instruments around her. And so everything feels really cohesive, even though we're getting these two very, very different styles. I like that a lot. Also, her enunciation while she's screaming is fantastic. Like, you really can pick words out of what she's singing. It's so easy, especially when you're getting words that are happening quickly in quick succession, with screaming, to lose some of the enunciation. But she's really, really clean on hers. I like that a lot. And then this switch back into non-distorted, kind of this quicker drum, where the drums they're kind of driven by the symbol of this bash, bash, bash. Like, there's a tone, there's a rhythm to it that is much more kind of plodding and heavy. And now we're back into these quick, more gentle drum beats and things like that. The guitars have gone non-distorted. It's lovely. It's such an efficient switch. Something about the way that they've done this. Those switches, they usually work, but they don't necessarily always work this cleanly, and I like that. That's a really, really cool rhythm there that's going on between the ride and the snare. It's just, listen to that drum beat for a second. It's almost like ride snare, ride snare, ride snare, ride snare, ride snare, ride snare, with the occasional snare where you get that heavier back snare hit kind of going on. But the speed that it's going, it's this really interesting blend between the two sounds. Because the ride is a gentler cymbal. Yes, you can make it sound a bit like a crash, but you can hear those hits. It's more kind of... It's a gentler... It's a more dispersed sound than a crash. Which I think is really, really effective. And then you have these gentle snare hits. So you are getting the snare, incidentally, for anybody who doesn't know the functionality of a snare drum. It is a normal drum, skinned top and bottom, usually. But it has a lever on the side of it. And underneath it are strings of little tiny metal, like ball bearing size type things that are stretched across underneath. I think there's something like 8 of them. And there's a lever on the side, and when you pull the lever down, it pulls those strings taut, so that those the strings are effectively, I don't know if they quite touch or if they're just underneath, but like a hair underneath the lower skin of the drum. So every time you hit with a stick, it rattles those, and that's where you get that sound. You can always hear when somebody's turned a snare off, because it's more like a pop. Whereas now you kind of get that kind of... It's got a little bit of a... I don't know how to describe it. A snare sound. Like it's got a slightly metallic rattling sound to it, almost. That's these strings underneath rattling. That's what makes a snare drum work. And the light snare hit only rattles them a little bit. So that, combined with these gentle hits on the ride, you're getting a really, really nice sound of texture on the drums. And then just those occasional harder hits that give us a little bit more of a sort of sharp, aggressive, ballistic sound. That's a really, really nice interjection in these. She makes it look like she wasn't just screaming her head off a minute ago. It's incredible. She is such a phenomenal performer. I'm really, really impressed by her. I like this kind of, also these hammer-on guitar parts, or bass parts rather, that we're getting here. You'll notice he's not actually plucking at the strings here. It's actually, he's getting these notes by hitting the string hard with his finger. And so it reverberates the string from the point where it's struck instead of from plucking it further down the body, and still allows you to add a note. But what it's allowing him to do is hold these bass notes on down the bottom and still hit notes higher up the fretboard. So you'll notice there's a wide gap between his two hands. He wouldn't be able to stretch from, from index finger to pinky. He's not going to be able to stretch that far to get from where he is to where his right hand is playing. So you play these hammer-ons instead. And it's a very, very effective way of playing. And I like the fact that we're actually focusing in on this. I love videos that show a little bit of guitar technique, or instrument technique, of any instrument. But it's nice that we're getting this little moment here to see how this is being played.
The beginning or the end, you can't tell. When I wave my fin and shake my tail, I grew a different normality.
And this is so interesting too, this bridge. We've got these bars of 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Again, playing around with the time signature. We've gone into something a bit more familiar now. It's so cool.
I grew a different normality with unblameable morality. Hooks and nets are there for me, but I'm...
It also sounds different. Like if you can hear that bass part going on there, it's got a bit more of a boom boom rather than a pum. There's a little bit less of pum pum. I don't know how to replicate it with my voice. I'm not a vocal percussionist or anything of that sort. But there's a slightly different tone to a hammer-on the bass than there is to when you're actually plucking the string, and certainly it's nothing like a slap. It's exactly the opposite. Where going from a pluck to a slap makes it very abrasive almost, and you get a definite hit. Playing with a hammer-on almost takes some of the attack away from the note a little bit. I love that gap. That's such a nice moment in the melody, but I'm skittish. Flows and flows. It's nice because it makes it feel skittish. The fact that she's left that gap in there, that's such a nice little bit of rhythmic writing, because if she just runs straight into it, it would be absolutely fine. But by leaving that gap there after such a flowing phrase, it makes it sound uncertain in some way, which is a skittish quality. And so it therefore gives a little bit of the actual feeling to the rhythm. That's really nice.
For me, but I'm skittish.
Was that double tracked, or is that a vocal technique, or has she double tracked herself? Because I swear she's got the with a going on at the same time at the end. Right there on the Brings Life. Anybody who knows how this technique actually works, please let me know, because I don't have a clue. Is that Tati double tracked, or is there somehow a way of screaming in sort of two registers at once? I genuinely have no idea how it works. What I was going to comment on is I love this guitar riff that we have going on here. Like, it's so broken up. The da 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 down, da da down, down. It's really, really nice. I like that the bow 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 comes so far after those two runs down. That's actually extremely effective. Kind of, it drags everything out a little bit, but the bow 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 coming back in gives us such a clear upbeat back into the beginning of this sort of 20 beat pattern that we've got going on. That's really cool. It's so fascinating seeing, like, obviously Vladi's so different, especially when he just had that, it was quite small with the side stick shots that were going on there and the little tip. His playing's quite small. Roman and Eugene, neither of them is like going full metal rock out at this point in time, and then Tati's just going completely nuts at the microphone. It's such an interesting blend between the two string instrument players and the other two members of the band, and it's kind of cool seeing this, you know, how chill these two still remain while they're playing, versus how hyped up the other two are. And I say hyped up, Tati's still quite still, but there's a lot more to her motion here than there is when she's singing the calmer music, is what I'm getting at. Oh, the drums right there. When we go into that little triplet section, we've had these. That's such a nice cutaway into the triplets there. That's fantastic. That's so good. I love that. It's so small, it's for like 2 beats of the music, but it just gives us a different something going on in the drums to focus in on. I didn't notice if it did that the first time. There's a lot to pay attention to in this, but I really like it here. Oh, the motion in this guitar part is extraordinary. Those passing notes. So up to this point, there's additional notes. Ba 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 da 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 da. We've got the second in there. That's the ninth that we were talking about before, but down the octave. Da 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 da. We're kind of revolving around this minor chord. Do 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 do. Now we're going into the realms of sixths and sevenths and things like that, and all these notes in this cool little passing riff that's going on right here. It brings so much additional texture to the song that we haven't had yet. And then we have this flat 6, flat 7 tonic, so this bom, bom, bom. That chord sequence running up there, that's just such a nice run-in back to this next section. That little guitar, I'm going to call it a solo because he really gets a second to kind of do something a little different there, is fantastic. And these moments here where we suddenly get unison between the guitar and the bass at the end of these phrases. Wow. Fantastic. And there again, flat 6, flat 7, tonic. It's such a nice motion at the, and we've led into this with it, and now we're using it in the middle of the set of this phrase of singing. Lovely stuff. And you hear now we've got the hi-hat and the snare drum being played, and again with mostly these gentle hits and the occasional kind of a stronger hit on the snare. But you hear the tonal difference between the hi-hat and what was going on with the ride cymbal before. That's what I love, is they're playing with the tone of the drums so much.
Cherish his life to the underworld.
Oh, the melody there. Lovely. We've gone up to the fifth over this minor chord that's going on underneath. Yes, still a couple of passing notes here and there, but the minor chord is pretty established. We're up to that minor seventh. Back down to the fifth again. Now we're on a tritone. Da da, we're on the flattened fifth, sharpened fourth, whatever you want to call it. That is the note. I've talked about this a few times. It's going to come up again next month because I've already recorded a bunch of next month's videos. We've got to that point where she's singing the note that is the furthest possible between the tonic in its two octaves. So if you've got the C down here and the C up here, in the middle of those two you have F sharp. And that is, it sounds haunting and eerie and a little bit out of place and dissonant because it doesn't have other notes supporting it. And there is a video coming up very soon where I'm actually going to demonstrate what you can do with a tritone to make it sound completely harmless. But at this point in time, it's I don't want to spoil anything, but in this song right here, it's deliberately giving us that sense of we've gone somewhere not of this key. This is sounding a little strange now. And she goes down to the minor third. And that construction there, da, 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 that is actually the first three notes descending down the harmonic minor scale, which is, if we were in the key, the da, that fifth that she's singing, if that was our root note, instead of being the fifth, and we were playing down a harmonic minor scale in that, you would play the top note, the root, you would go to the sharpened seventh, and then to the flattened sixth, and that's what she's singing right here. And so it is a known construction, but she's singing it when it's actually the fifth of the key that we're in, and that's what's making it sound a little bit otherworldly. Really cool. And then we get into this and we start this ba-da-da, ba-da-da, ba. It's immediate change of rhythm, but because she's just holding onto this note over the top and finishing off the phrase, it's interesting because it almost takes a minute for the fact that the rhythm has changed to seep in. And so you have this very smooth adjustment into the new rhythm until the drums come in and really establish it.
Swimming through the river, all the life against the stream.
So good! This shift! Like, she goes just like that. You have the break, and she just starts again in the screaming, and then in the middle of the long phrase of music, she just switches back to normal voice, and all of a sudden is belting away at the top of the range. That's phenomenal. Woohoo! That isn't low music either. Like, she's working her range in this song. This is what is that? I'm curious. It's impressive, whatever it is. Oops. Let me to my piano. And the piano freezes almost immediately. I don't know, my piano froze on me too quickly. Regardless, it's a high note, and the fact that she's gone from the screaming, which I imagine uses a very different feel and register, again, I have no idea how to do it, so I'm not the best person to comment on that, and then all of a sudden she's not only belting, but she's belting high! I should say I'm saying belting in the sense of singing loud. I am not a good person to judge what type of voice a woman is singing in. Or a man, come to that. I can see falsetto. I don't always pick up the transition from a chest voice into something else. Depends on what kind of sort of baritone or bass I'm listening to. And in the case of female voices, I find it very, very hard to gauge. I've never really been good at just listening to someone and saying, oh, she's mixing, or she's belting, or she's in head voice. High soprano head, usually easier to determine. But when you've got somebody who's as versatile with their voice as Tati is, I'm not 100% sure exactly what's going on at this point. It's just impressive. And there it is again, that bum, 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 flat 6, flat 7, tonic. We're bringing that back into this section, so there's little bits that are repeating throughout the song. Love it. Don't suffocate in painful tortures, long-cutting tables of callous men, wandering on of phantom butchers, emeralds are whipped away. What power! She sounds so powerful doing this. It is phenomenal. Phenomenal. And I love this ending, it's just so strong. And we still got the da-da-da-da-da coming through in the guitar. Again, elements that are maybe not 100% the same, but repeating from earlier sections in the song. This is great. Interesting in the guitar here, this we've got this kind of 3 going up and then 1 going down at the end in terms of the riffs that the guitar is doing right now. It's really effective. And I love that the guitar and the bass are doing so much, and the drums are quite reserved is certainly not the right word, but pace-wise they're going slower. This doof-ka, doof-doof, doof-ka. They're not moving anywhere near the pace. They're just being really heavy and letting the guitars do all the work, and it's such a cool way to end out. Oh, that scream at the end, the total change of tone. How high that is. Emeralda! Down there. Way up there! She's complete. That's like an octave and a half or 2 octaves of register in screaming changed up. I don't know exactly, again, how it works. I'm going to keep repeating that because I don't want to be saying something misleading, and this is not something where I can talk fairly comfortably about, you know, hammer-ons on a bass guitar. Exactly what she's doing right now, I couldn't say. It's just... Wow. Wow! And I love this beat at the end. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So cool. Oh, that is brilliant. What a magnificent song. I totally understand why people are saying react to Pisces. Because... mind blown by that. That's beautiful. Phenomenal work. I love it. I love it. Thank you, everybody who recommended that to me. And wow, Jinjer. Tati. That's good stuff. That is good stuff. I hope you enjoyed watching this with me. I hope that I brought something to you, be it the song, Jinjer themselves. If this is the first time you've heard Jinjer, wherever I put it earlier in the video, check out their perennial video as well. Check out their video first, but check out my reaction too, because wow, that's great too. Maybe you know this song super well, and I gave you some tiny little thing that you hadn't seen before. I will take that as a win if I did. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed my video. Please do like, please do hit the subscribe button and the notification bell at the time of subscribing. Of recording, rather. I am at 2,996 subscribers. I need 4 more to hit 3,000. That means there's probably going to be, I hope, a celebration of that in May. And the reason I'm saying that is because April is a theme month, and I am pre-recording everything. As it stands, there's still a week left in March, and I have recorded 3/4 of the content that's coming out next month already. Also, therefore, if you sign up to Patreon or buy me a coffee or something like that, I will acknowledge that, but that will probably be vocally acknowledged in May as well. I might stick it on a video if I'm still editing in time, but please just be aware that things will be going up later. If you would like to support the channel, you can do so by going to buymeacoffee.com/DavidKReacts, patreon.com/DavidKReacts, or leaving a super thanks here on YouTube, and any of those would be gratefully appreciated. No pressure, however, if you do not wish to do so. And that's it. I will be back next week for Video Game Month, and I am super excited. There's some really cool stuff I've already listened to. I've got 4 videos left to record, which I'm going to be doing throughout the next few days, and I am so hyped for all the stuff that's coming out, because I've listened to some incredible music so far, and there's some cool stuff to come. So please join me for that. It will be 2 videos a week, Tuesday and Friday. That's my standard. For months, occasionally I do something a little wonky, like I had my anniversary video in the middle of the last month I did, so I did a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, because that was a bonus video that came out. But yes, usually 2 a week for the duration of the theme month, and I would love to see you there. Do take care. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Have an absolutely wonderful nighttime, early morning. I don't know, those of you who are up at 3 a.m. Oof, I can't do that. Well, I can, but I haven't gone to bed yet. Whatever time, afternoon. Let's go for 6:14 p.m. That's what we're going to go for. See if I can catch someone watching then. Take care of yourselves. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.